Hey guys, my name's Laura and welcome back to my channel where I review all kinds of books but mainly lead towards darker fiction and also document my quest to become a published writer myself. So this week the videos did not go up as scheduled as I was dealing with an unforeseen noggin problem, but I have slept quite a bit and I've played some Assassin's Creed and I am back on track, and I am still a bit into the Horror in 24 Readathon as well. So today's prompt is to do with reading a gothic horror novel, and for this I chose an Irish writer called Dorothy Macardle, and I have read The Unforeseen. Dorothy Macardle is actually quite a fascinating figure in Irish history. She was a journalist as well as a writer. She was an artist. She was imprisoned for her activities during the Irish War and was a Republican member of Cumann na Ban. So feminist too, you see. And this was printed as part of Tramp Press. Tramp Press are an independent publisher in Ireland that is run by two fantastic women. And this was printed as part of their Recovered Voices series. So I think they've been the first people to reprint Dorothy Macardle since the 50s, possibly. And I'm very glad that they did, because she's an Irish female writer that I find, and I really like her writing, so I'm really glad that they did. So I have read the first one that they printed of hers, which was The Uninvited, a classic gothic haunted house story. This is the second that they printed of hers, and I'm also excited to read the third one, which is Dark Enchantment, and they've all got these fantastically colourful covers as well. Now, first of all, I have to clear something up, because they started printing these a couple of years ago and I started buying them immediately, and I was very excited to find a new female Irish writer who was writing darker fiction, sort of supernatural fiction, because there's not so many out there that I know of, especially not from back then as well. And for some reason I got into my head that she was from Donegal. I made tweets where I referred to her being from Donegal, where I tagged the publisher Tramp Press. I've put up many Instagram posts where I've referred to her being from Donegal and tagged Tramp Press. I went to the last time, I think whenever they were releasing this, they had an American student who was writing about Macardle for her thesis, and I went and I listened to her talking about Dorothy Macardle's life, and I was still convinced that she was from Donegal. And I think on their website they refer to her as Ireland's answer to Shirley Jackson, and for some reason I just planted that in my head as Donegal's answer, and she's not in any way from Donegal. She's from Dundalk in County Louth, and I don't know why I have claimed her as being from Donegal. I just had some sort of a stroke when I first saw those words, and D's get mixed up, I guess. So I can't claim her as being from Donegal because she just is absolutely not. But we did go to the same university, so that's somehow relevant. But anyway, apologies for my own utter stupidity. So The Unforeseen is a story that follows Virgilia, a middle-aged widower who has an adult daughter, and she is creating her own perfect little life in a cottage in Wicklow. She is doing up the cottage. She is an avid bird watcher, and she's writing a book about birds and is enjoying the landscape and the scenery of Wicklow. And she moved to Wicklow after living in London with her daughter. She was there to support her in her first steps to becoming an artist herself. Her daughter Nan is a painter and an illustrator, and she wanted to support her there, but now she has moved back to Ireland to pursue her own life. The book begins with Virgilia at a doctor's appointment because she is concerned about her eyesight, or possibly even her sanity, as she has seen things that aren't actually there, that no one else can see, and that don't fit in with the landscape around her. And the doctor, who's a friend of hers, assures her that her eyes are absolutely fine, but refers her to a psychologist, and this doctor also assures her that her mental health is fine, but he believes that she may be experiencing some precognition, or seeing visions of the future. And his son, who is also a doctor, is called Perry, and he is quite interested in supernatural things and these telepathic abilities, precognition and stuff. And so he refers her to Perry to try and sort out what's going on here, and is it real, is it not real, or what's going on. So while this is going on, her daughter Nan has decided to come back to Ireland to visit her mother, and Virgilia is adamant that she does not want Nan burdened with the knowledge that her mother has some either weird medical condition, weird mental health condition, or a weird supernatural condition. So as she's trying to hide all of this from Nan, she's getting strange visions. At the same time, to complicate things, Nan and Perry begin to spend a lot of time together and to develop feelings for each other. But while Nan is trying to decide whether she should stay by herself and pursue her own career or to marry Perry, Virgilia's visions begin to become a lot more traumatic and a lot more dangerous for everyone involved. So that is the basics of Unforeseen. Obviously the title refers to her precognition, her visions of the future, and I very much enjoyed this book. So as you can see, there's actually quite a few little note things. I rarely put in little note things unless I really hate something, to be honest, but I quite liked a lot of the things in this. I have the first one I put in was just a reference to time, because of the fact that she is seeing the future, and there's a lot of sort of philosophical and theoretical debates about time in this book and how we experience time, and the classic whether it's possible to change the events of the future if you know that they're going to happen and whatnot. There's also just some fantastic lines in here that I really, really liked. This is a really... I liked The Uninvited, I did, and a couple of the characters from The Uninvited actually show up in this, so the books are connected. This is, I guess, would be considered a sequel, and they show up from the other book to sort of help Virgilia in trying to figure out what is going on with her mind. One of the clues for this is that the two people who showed up, the first book is called The Uninvited, her husband, giving her a quizzical grin, said he hoped she would have no uninvited guests. Wink wink. But this for me just felt really homey. It felt really like she was constantly talking about streets that are literally right outside my house at the minute, and places that I recognise from Ireland. You definitely don't need to be Irish to appreciate this book at all, but it just felt sort of a lot more cozy to me because of that. There is a lot to do with time, a lot to do with the sort of burden that is placed on people who know things about the future, whether you should try and stop things, whether you should try and change things, whether it makes any difference what you do. Also, she's not always right about her visions, about her interpretation of her visions. So there are times when she believes that something is going to happen and it turns out that she misinterpreted what she was actually seeing and she wasn't correct about everything, while everyone else around her is telling her that this is amazing and she needs to document it, and they want to write papers about her and they think it's just the best evidence they've ever got. She wants to get rid of it because it's a burden to her, it's scary for her, and she doesn't like it, but they're constantly telling her that she needs to keep it, that it is a gift. And I think what McCardle sort of wanted to say with that is not to put people on pedestals, because the more people believed her and the more people put stock in her word, the mistakes that she was making with what she was seeing started to become deadly and started to really have an effect on the people around her. So it wasn't just what she saw, it was her own perception of things and her own way of interpreting things, and she tried to tell them this herself, but they just wouldn't listen, unfortunately. But I find this to be really intriguing. Really, in the beginning it seems quite all happy and cozy, and there's obviously some anxieties about what is happening to Virgilia, but in the end there was a switch flipped, and it did start to become deadly and a lot more tension filled, and you were really stuck into the last couple of 100 pages of this book. And it's really well written and it's really well explained. I love the characters. There's a lot to do with Irish history in this as well. There's travellers that they interact with, who one of the young boys with the travellers has just gotten out of a reformatory, which was a horrible place that they used to put children, because we just have a great history of treating children like absolute crap, and he's terrified that the guards are gonna grab him again and put him in there, and his father is threatening him with that. So it's dealing with travellers, it's dealing with reformatories in Ireland, it's dealing with the sort of changing. At the time this was written, this was based just before World War II, and there are some pointers in this where, you know, people are sort of, they know something is happening in the world, they know something bad is coming, but they don't know exactly what it is, and they don't want to ruin a good summer or a good year by having to worry about whether another war is coming or not. And there's also the issue of marriage for Nan. You know, should she settle down and be a doctor's wife, or should she try and pursue her career in artistry for herself? And would she ever be happy giving up her art for her husband, or would her husband ever be happy giving up opportunities in his career so that she could pursue her art? So there's some feminist thinking in this, there's historical thinking, and there's a really interesting takes on time and how we perceive time and the mistakes that we make when we think we know what's going to happen. But I really enjoyed it. It is a great gothic read, and it is a great summer read as well. I think it's set in the summer in Ireland, and we do have sunlight here sometimes. I'm currently sweating my balls off, but it's a great summer read, and I would absolutely recommend that you check out some Dorothy Macardle, because I love it, and I am going to be reading her next book as well. So that is my prompt number 4? I'm not sure. It is the prompt to do with gothic reading. I will have a video up tomorrow. The next prompt is a spooky story from your childhood, and I picked a good old classic Goosebumps book. My sister used to have a lot of those, and I used to steal them quite frequently. So I shall be talking about a good old R.L. Stein tomorrow. Thank you so much for everyone who has liked and subscribed so far. Just this week I have almost got to 100 subscribers. I am so thankful for that. Thank you so much for everyone who's subscribed. If you like what I'm doing here, you can like and subscribe down below. It is August now, and it is not too far from October, and I have a lot of fun things planned for my favourite month of the year. So thanks so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video.